Because of the position on the back and because of the anatomy of the shoulder, many swimmers struggle to effectively use the entire arm to create propulsion in backstroke. While some may be able to pick it up while swimming backstroke, the most effective strategy is to quickly put them in positions where they can feel how to use the whole arm and where they can learn how to make it happen. Hi everyone, Andrew here, helping you help your swimmers get faster. If swimmers can't use their arms effectively in backstroke, they're not going to create much speed. And unfortunately, most swimmers rely almost entirely on their hands to propel themselves down the pool. Let's take a look at how to help swimmers feel this key skill so that they can train it. To create a lot of speed with the upper body in backstroke, the principles remain the same as in any other stroke. Swimmers have to use a big surface area to move water backward with. They need to use the hand and the forearm together, and they have to get everything facing backward so that they can move themselves forward. They also have to use a big range of motion. They have to set up that position as high as possible, and they have to hold it for as long as possible. And finally, they have to accelerate through the pull, building pressure on the water, building their hand speed while maintaining effective pulling positions. Because they're on their back, swimmers aren't going to be able to see what they're doing, and because it's going to feel like they have to move their arm behind their body in order to get into effective positions, it doesn't feel natural, and so swimmers struggle to position themselves effectively. But once we understand what swimmers have to do, it becomes a lot easier to put them in positions where they can feel it. So if we watch this swimmer, what we'll see is he gets his whole arm facing backward and he gets into that position well above his head. And he's going to stay there all the way through the finish of the stroke. And so by getting into a really effective position where the whole arm is facing backwards, and then holding on to that position through a big range of motion, he's going to be able to move as much water as possible. So starting off here, holding it all the way through, and then there's an acceleration through down to the finish, which allows him to build hand speed and to build pressure on the water. So if we watch one more time, we're going to see a really big hook. The whole arm is facing backwards. And so just like a high elbow position when on the stomach, we're going to see a low elbow position here on the back. Same idea, same concepts, same basic approach. It's just happening on the back. He's going to create a big surface area and then hold that for as long as possible. So the most effective way to help swimmers learn those skills is to put them in position where they can feel them. So we're going to simplify the skill of pulling. We're going to make it easy to understand. We're going to make it easy to get into position. We're going to make it easy to feel the key skills, the key components of what needs to happen. What's powerful about the side pull strategy is that it helps swimmers understand the key position as quickly as possible. It also helps create change as fast as possible. And it allows swimmers to move into more advanced skills as fast as possible. Because ultimately, the drill is not the end point, it's a starting point to help them understand what they need to do. And once they can feel that, we can then start working on building that into their backstroke. But if we never get them in a position where they can actually understand what needs to happen, it becomes much more difficult to make that change happen when they're actually swimming. So all it is swimmers going to be on their side and they're going to pull. And so it's going to be very easy. You can see he gets in a really effective position. His whole arm is facing backwards and he's doing that very, very early in the stroke. And then he's holding that position all the way through to the finish. So that's all it is. We're going to help swimmers feel how to bend the elbow, how to set it up high, and then how to pull straight back. So it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. But for a swimmer who's always just used their hand to create propulsion, it allows them to feel how to use the whole arm and how to do that very, very simply. Once they understand that skill, we can start to implement it and start to build that skill into their full backstroke. But if they never get to the point where they can feel it, it's going to be very difficult to do anything about it. So without much skill, without much understanding on their part, without much explanation on our part, they can get into positions where they can feel this skill very quickly, very easily, and that makes our life as coaches a lot simpler and we can be a lot more effective. Rather than just using this drill in isolation, performing a few slow repetitions, we want to create as much change as possible. And to do that, we want to use other skill development strategies. So by having swimmers change their hand posture, like closing the fist, we're going to take away the hand and encourage the use of the forearm to a much greater degree than using the drill alone. We can also add resistance, which is going to require swimmers to move more water. They're going to have to use the whole arm in order to make that happen. We can isolate the arms by taking away the upper body. Again, now the arms are going to have to do all the work, which means that the swimmers are going to have to execute their skills at a higher level to get the job done. We can also give them performance goals, speed, stroke count, stroke rates, and that's going to demand that swimmers execute the drill at higher and higher levels of performance. And while the drill can be very effective for helping swimmers feel these skills, we ultimately have to help them learn how to execute the skills during full stroke swimming. So we want to pair side pull with more complex drills, and more importantly, we want to pair it with full stroke swimming so that they can take what they feel during the drill and execute it when it really matters. And so ultimately, we have to give swimmers the opportunity not just to practice the drill, we have to give them the chance to apply the skills when it matters most, which is during full stroke swimming. Here are a couple sets that put these ideas into practice. So the first set, they're going to go 3 rounds through, 225 side pull with parachute and upside down paddles. And upside down paddles are when the swimmers hold the paddle like this, so they have to use their hand and their forearm together. They're trying to minimize stroke count. In order to do that, especially against the resistance, they're going to have to move a lot of water with each pull. Then they're going to go 100 backstroke, same stroke count, each 25, solid effort. And then we're going to repeat that same basic framework 2 more times with some slight modifications. On the next piece, they're going to minimize stroke count and time on the drills, and then they're going to go strong effort on the 100 backstroke, and then they're going to build to fast on the drills, and then go even stronger effort on the 100. So this set is ultimately a series of hundreds where they have to be really efficient by keeping the same stroke count, and before each 100, they're going to train the drill, they're going to train the skill to make it easier to execute great arm actions during those 100s. Next set is a speed set. They're going 4 rounds through. They're going to go 25 side pull. The first 12 and a half, the fist is closed, again, to encourage the use of the forearm. That's going to be a strong effort. Then they're going to go a 25 backstroke fast at 200 stroke rate. Then they're going to go another 25 side pull. Again, the first half is closed fist. That 25 is fast. And then they're going to go 25 backstroke fast at 100 stroke rate. So they're trying to go as fast as they can on those 2 25s backstroke, but they can only move their arms so fast, 200 stroke rate and 100 stroke rate. So if they want to go faster, they have to hold more water with their pull. Each round, we can switch which side they do the side pulls on, and those side pulls are geared to help swimmers learn how to feel, how to move water with the whole arm, and then they're going to try to apply that when they do the 25s. For more on how to help backstrokers hold as much water with their upper body as possible, check out the video below.